Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Foreigner Footy Files. I'm Natalia Pinkney and this is episode 8, only up from here. So we are in file 5 of the Australian folder. And as usual, to keep things rolling, here is another poem from the Pieces of My Path. So this poem is called I Can. You're too small, you can't take a hit. You're too loud, you can't take instructions. You're too young. You can't keep up. I can. You're just fast. You've got no skills. You're just black. You've got no talent. You're just average. You've got no potential. I do. You don't stand out. No one notices you. You don't have the depth. No one can train you. You don't have the talent. No one believes in you. They do. These words echo down to my boots as I lace them up each training. These words pierce my ears and I step onto the pitch for the game day. I can be that player. I do what they do. They do see me. I'm strong. I am willed. I am blessed. And yes, I will. So that poem is a bit of a shorter one than the ones I've been writing recently. And that is from March 6th, 2019. I wrote that in a note in my phone. Clearly in a bit of a downtime, but to be honest, it still reflects a lot of the feelings and the emotions that I still have when I'm playing, when I'm traveling, trialing for teams, trying to make people see the potential in me. So it's interesting that it's 2023 in May, and I'm looking at a poem written in my notes from March 6th in 2019, and the tone is pretty consistent with the low moments that I have. I'm not always in the mindset of boohoo, but there are a lot of times where it does hit a little hard. And so it was something that I wanted to read today in this podcast episode to show that over time, the same struggles, they kind of come back. And for women that look like me and are in my situation, we tend to have the big ups and downs of, okay, I'm doing good. Things are happening. I'm making it. I'm on a team. I have a contract. I'm playing. I'm doing my job. But then the lows come when it's same shit, different season, different team, different coach, So just wanted to share that poem to show a little bit of time reflection, I guess, and to show that it comes full circle sometimes with the struggling aspect of football. But it's not always bad, and I'm not always sad, but it does get a little bit deep, and I just wanted to share that little bit of a vulnerable moment with you guys. So let's get back into some of the timeline checks for those of y'all who have been keeping up. We are now at March 10th, and I'm gearing up to move out. Finally, I've signed with Logan, and I played in my first match. I'm working at the cafe with my Milky, my girl, and I'm waiting for my partner to join, and, it's only up from here. So before we get into the next events, I actually got to spill some tea that I forgot to spill last episode. So remember the whole Wi-Fi issue that we had the morning that I woke up and was supposed to tell them that I was leaving the next day? So this is back then, the 9th, yesterday. And I left out a very important event that happened that day that was another kind of kicker to really push me to move out. So, yeah, I am going to read the message that I sent to my coworker, Milky, just so you guys can have the full effect of what I was going through that day. So I texted my girl, said, yeah, okay, so I woke up this morning and the internet was out. So I get back and they're still asleep. They finally wake up around 12. I said 2 last time. It was 12. We'll give them 2 more hours of extra oomph. And I tell them the internet is fucked. So we all try and figure out, and neither of them have a phone. So we have to use mine to call, and we're waiting for like 10 minutes. Then it randomly turned back on. So we're like, dope. So she grabs the laptop and is chilling on the couch, and I'm helping him find his lighter so he can smoke because, the stress of having to figure out the Wi-Fi has tragically, set his entire day off. So he's chilling and smoking, and she gets real quiet all of a sudden. and then just goes into the room. She then comes back out 5 minutes later, and I'm in my room now, and I just see her storm into the kitchen. I hear 2 loud smacks, and she's like, this is a quote, "You fucking cunt." And I'm like, huh? So, I'm perked up. I'm here for the drama. I was like, oh, girl, what he do? I didn't say this to her. I was behind my door, eavesdropping, of course. And she's like, a fucking 16-year-old? You're sick. And then she storms outside, and he goes into the room to check what she saw. And I'm just sitting there like, oh, Lord, this is getting messy. And he runs out after her. They're both in the car screaming. So they're sitting in the driveway of our apartment complex, just screaming at each other. And I can hear it from my room. So you know me, I'm nosy as hell. I'm trying to peek out my window to see what's going on. But then he literally carries her back inside. And I think that they caught me because I low-key made eye contact with the boyfriend. And yeah, he carries her back in the apartment, all cute. And I don't know if they solve things, but I haven't seen her since. This is in the message. I hadn't seen her since the fight. So yeah, I was like, girl, what in tarnation? Turns out the girl was 16. My man's was 21. So my roommate's 21. The girl he was messaging was 16. The girlfriend finds out. They have a huge fight. He carries her back into the apartment, and apparently everything's all good. No. My man, first of all, secretly texting a 16-year-old of any gender, any allocation, any identity, and you're 21, that's disgusting. Absolutely foul. So trash behavior, and that was just another kick in the butt, nail in the coffin. Sign from the Lord that it's time to go. These are not my people. This is not where I need to be. So just wanted to add in that little bit of tea, a little bit of drama that I forgot to tell last week because I was looking through my old messages again for some timeline checks for this next episode. And I was like, yo, that was a big event I forgot to spill. So yeah, that happened. So back to the non-predatorial events. It's now the 10th of March, as I said, and it's move-in day to the new place that I'm in. So I'm moving into a villa, and which is so much nicer and bigger than an apartment. And they have 2 dogs. Y'all, I told you before, I'm a sucker for some animals. And they had 2. You got 2 dogs for me to love on? Bet. Let's go. So they were older dogs, and they're brothers. And their names were Denzel and Lockie. And I fell in love as soon as I met these dogs. They're so cute. And the one dog, unfortunately, did have cancer. And he's just, it broke my heart. But anyway, so I was one street over from my coworker, Milky. So sorry for the neighborhood that we live so close, because it's just a dangerous recipe having us live together and live near each other and work together. Yeah. So my landlord, who is the mother of one of my roommates, they end up throwing a welcome dinner for me. And so I've got me, my one roommate who's the son of the landlord, the mom. My other roommate is from Spain, so I'm living with 2 dudes. And Haley was there when I moved in, so they also invited her to join us for the dinner. And it was just an amazing time. It was a beautiful dinner. I've got pictures from that night. Great food. That woman can cook, okay? I call her my Aussie mom. She's one of my Aussie moms, and that woman knows how to cook. She knows how to bake. She just knows what she's doing all up in the kitchen, okay? And that was a great night. That's something that I will remember forever, just finally feeling like I could breathe where I lived. You know, I wasn't sleeping on a mattress on the floor. I wasn't having to listen to my roommates fight about a boyfriend banging a 16-year-old and, them looking up drugs in the deep web. So, yeah, nice change of pace. And after that, okay, so sometime after this, I don't know the exact time. I don't have the date of it, but me and Milky and our coworkers and bosses and everyone from Hot Shot, we went to go sing karaoke. This is where the Milky Cocoa Puff came in. So for anyone wondering why I'm calling this woman Milky, it is not because she was painfully white. She is a white woman, but that is not why I call her that. We ended up singing a song together, My Humps, okay, Black Eyed Peas, it's a banger. And of course, when I got to the Milky Milky Cocoa Puff, we did point to each other at the corresponding lyrics because I am brown like the Cocoa Puff and she is a white like the milk. So yes, we are Milky Cocoa Puff. That is where that originated. It is not a random race-baited nickname, although kind of is race-related, but not from nothing, from a fun karaoke night. And yeah, so a couple days have gone by since I moved in and I'm starting to settle. I'm like thinking about ways I want to decorate my room. I've got a proper dresser I can unpack my clothes in. I am just really getting myself in a better place. And I actually had a beautiful experience with the dogs. So as I said, the dogs were a bit older and one of the dogs had cancer. So it was hard for them to walk up the stairs. They didn't do it often, almost never. And one of the first few nights that I moved in, they followed me up the steps and slept outside my door they waited outside my door while I was showering. And then I finished showering and I came back into the room to go to bed. And they came in the room and they slept by my bed all night. And they just guarded me. And when I told my host mom, she was like, that is so sweet. They never go upstairs. They must really love you and want to protect you. And it just, it made my heart fly that these elderly behind dogs were going up the steps just to protect me in my sleep. So yes, when I tell you I was committed to protecting these babies, I was committed to protecting these babies. They were also now my babies, adopted. So yeah, I remember how I told y'all the football world is small, like super small. Yeah, so another one of the coaches in the league actually friend requested me on Facebook, along with one of the commentators from the league. And the one coach actually ended up messaging me and was like, hey, so have you signed to a team? I heard you left South. Would you be interested? And this team, it was Lions. They have been dominating the league since I was there, since I left there, just winning season after season. And there's times where I'm like, that one hurts the heart. And in the moment, I even was like, damn. Y'all ask me now after I signed, but when I tell you I do not regret a single moment of signing with Logan, I do not regret a single moment. Okay, like we didn't win the league, all right, but the partnerships, the friendships, the growth that I had, the acceptance, all of it was just, it was event changing for me in Australia, and I don't regret it. I don't regret it at all. And I'm happy that I signed with them. But I would be lying to y'all if it didn't sting a little bit to get a message from that coach a smooth week after I officially signed and played with Logan. And I'm like, really, my guy? You waited until after I signed with another team to come in my inbox? Great. Good timing. But everything happens for a reason. And we ain't holding the stuff that's in the past. So there was a toga party actually being held at the university that my coworker went to. And we were supposed to get toga outfits per usual. So usually something white. A lot of people do like bed sheets, or you go find a white dress and like a gold belt and something to wear in your hair. Well, your girl was just freshly moved to a new place. I did not have anything ready for a toga party. So Milky and I had planned to go to the Salvo. Yes, I said Salvo. That is what they call a Salvation Army or a Goodwill. I told y'all they be having some interesting slang over there. So we planned to go to the Salvo to look for some inspiration or some, quality options for our toga party outfits. And I couldn't go with her. She had stuff to do for uni. Her roommate couldn't go, so I went by myself. And I got lost. Shocker. Trying to figure out where I'm going. And I met this lovely woman along the way who helped me find it on her lunch break. And I don't know, to an average person, I guess, someone just helping you find a Salvation Army on their lunch break doesn't really seem like a significant moment. But I don't know, in that situation, and even when I think about it now, I can still feel that life-changing kind of, not life-changing, that's dramatic, that spiritual connection I had with her for a moment. It wasn't anything insanely intense, but it was just a beautiful, warm feeling that I had when I met her. And it was like I mentioned before how I keep having small moments showing me that I'm on the right path and I'm in the right space. And this was one of those moments. I just met this woman who took the time out of her own day, her lunch break, y'all. Like, for my Americans, you know how we on the clock, we on the clock. And it's a little bit more relaxed in Australia, but still, she took time from her smoke, from her lunch break to show me where the salvo was. And that inspired me to start a note in my phone marking down meaningful interactions that I had with people overseas. And although, like I said, it may not sound like much, just some woman helping you find a Salvation Army on their lunch break, I'll never be able to explain the feeling that I had with that woman in that moment. But I've fallen off a bit with writing down those impactful moments, but I'm going to pick it back up. So let's skip a few days now. We're going to skip to my birthday, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, and which I've recently found out is very much an American thing, along with Cinco de Mayo. We really just took those holidays that have nothing to do with our culture and background and just said, hey, we're going to make it a drinking day. Love that, America. Good one. But anyway, my birthday is March 17th, and I was being spoiled by my new Aussie mom, landlord, who made an amazing dinner with my roommates, and they gave me great gifts and a delicious cake. And we just had a wonderful night in, all of us celebrating my birthday, my first birthday overseas. Well, I had a birthday in Costa Rica in college, but it wasn't where I was currently living. I was on vacation with my football team in university. So this was my first birthday overseas living on my own, essentially. I mean, I had roommates, but with no one from home with me. And yeah, it was a special birthday. It really made me feel comfortable. I felt safe. I felt supported. And it was just nice to be celebrated with people that I was adding into my life in a whole new experience. And the night was going great. We had good company, good food. And then, I had my first experience with a huntsman. Let me tell y'all about this huntsman, okay? This spider was so big that when I took a picture of it with the flash caught the spider's eyes. In the picture that I still have on my phone, when you look at it, you can see the eyes glowing from the flash because that's how big this spider was. And my roommate saw it first. So my roommate from Spain saw it and he screeched like a little girl. We thought someone was getting shot, killed, something. Like, he screamed. We all turned around. It's on the wall. And my Aussie mom / landlord was like, okay. And we both were like, you get that demon all up out of here because I'm not going to bed with that thing in this house. And she's like, why would we kill it? It stays in the house for a reason. It kills all the other bugs that probably could actually harm you. It's a huntsman. They don't harm you. I said, that is the size of a cat. That could harm me. I could be its breakfast, lunch, or dinner. What do you mean? And she's like, oh no, honey, that's a huntsman. We keep those in the house for bug repellent. Crazy. Y'all are insane. And my roommate from Spain said that he quite literally threatened to move out. He said that he would leave if it was not killed. So she got a broom and smacked the hell out of it and killed it. And I actually watched her feel sadness killing this cat-sized spider off of the wall. Aussies are a different breed. I don't even know what else to say about it. Australians, y'all are wild. Just keeping big behind spiders in your house as house guests. Y'all treating them like family. Letting them just hang out because they killed the other bugs. No. It looked me in the eye. No, absolutely not. So, as best friends do, my coworker / Milky asked me what I always wanted for my birthday. And I said I always wanted my tongue pierced. And hers was pierced. And her being the absolute dangerous influence in my life that she is, and one of the most spontaneous people that I've ever met, she goes, all right, so we're going to go tomorrow and we're just going to do it. I said, huh? She's like, yeah, you want it. You're an adult. Let's just go get it done. Let's go get your tongue pierced. I was like, oh, we're just going to go? She's like, what's stopping you? You? I said, okay, girl, shoot, let's go. So yeah, spontaneity is key with us. We just be doing stuff. So we went to get my tongue pierced. And let me tell y'all, this tongue ring took some time to get used to. My lisp that I had was very laughable. My tongue swelled up. I drooled a lot. And remember, I was working at a cafe, so I had to serve people. I had to speak every day, every moment of my work shift. And having a lisp, learning the Aussie slang, learning the menu, customers. Yeah, it was an interesting choice to make, getting your tongue pierced that early into having a new job, but why not? You only live once. So yeah, I got my tongue pierced with my coworker, and that was a good time. And I want to say that I probably should have thought about it more, but kind of happy that I didn't, because I don't think I would have done it if I thought about it more. And you always need that one friend that's like, screw it, let's just do what we gotta do. So back to the football. Remember how I was waiting on my money from South? Yeah, so I still haven't had all my money from them. It's now March 18th, and I still don't have all my funds. And I don't play about my money, right? So run me my cash, sir, madam. I don't care who is it. I don't care if it's the coach. I don't care if it's the manager. I don't care if it's the president of the club. Somebody better run me my money in my account. You got my info. Use it. I don't play about that. And I ended up messaging the coach because I was like, what's going on? And he's like, oh yeah, it'll get in there. It'll get in there. Please. I did eventually get it. Just so y'all know, I did get my money. But the fact that I had to chase this person down almost 2 weeks after not even being on the team anymore, y'all still ain't run me my money. Like, the poor women that played for that club, because I couldn't even imagine the problems that they had, because I'm not afraid to ask. Maybe they was, but I'm not. You don't run me my check. So yeah, we had a game 2 weeks later, and it did not go well, y'all. We got our behinds kicked. And I really, really wanted to earn my playing time with Logan. Like, I was really working to make sure that I got on the field, that I can make a difference, to show that, I'm here to do a job, and I need y'all to let me do that job. So put me on the field. And like I said, we lost terribly. The refs were horrible, which is no shock in women's football. And after the game, I experienced some of the most savage Aussie mom and grandmom energy. Like I told y'all, Aussies are very painfully honest and straightforward. They pride themselves on telling you straight up how it is. And so one of my teammates, grandma and her mom, they came up to me after the game, and I'm going to let y'all know, this is their words. This is not my words. I don't necessarily agree with the way that they said it, but I appreciate the compliment. So they came up to me after the game and were like, we wanted to meet you in person because we think you're the best player on the team, and everyone else played like shit, and I've been watching soccer since my daughter was 5, and I know talent when I see it. And they said that in front of the coach, and his daughter is on the team. So I was shocked. He was shocked. And the grandmother turned and looked him dead in the eyes after saying this. And the mom turned and looked him dead in the eyes after saying this, and just paused and was basically like, put it on the pitch. And I was just, mans was shook. I was uncomfortable. But, the support was nice. It was nice to, know that people's family of my teammates were happy that I was on the team at least, So that's comforting in itself. But yeah, that was an interesting moment that I had with some family members of my teammates. And I think it was the first time that someone kind of stepped to the coach and was like, listen, you're not exactly making the best decisions, and it's impacting the girls' record, games, performance, all of it. So, leave it to mom and grandma. Okay? They gonna tell you what you need to hear. They gonna get the job done. So, it's now getting into wintertime. Yeah, I said winter. It's March. This threw me off so hard, the change of seasons. Going into my birthday month, which was leading into winter, which is usually going into spring for me normally. So it was getting quote unquote cold. Again, it's Australia. They don't really know what winter actually is. There are some parts of Australia that do actually get cold, but not like cold, not like Pennsylvania cold. And so things are starting to like slow down at work, and it's starting to make me panic a little bit because I'm getting fewer and fewer hours, and I need more money because rent cost, food cost, and my partner's supposed to be coming, so that's going to double, maybe triple the things that we get because we both eat a lot. So I'm like, yo, I need to figure out what side job I'm gonna get. So I started looking into coaching for the club because I knew that I needed something else to put some money in my bank. So I asked about some coaching, and it didn't really go too well. I tried, but I didn't get much luck with that. So on top of all of that, things start getting a little less comfy at home. And we had an interesting older neighbor. So this guy would make his own liquor, which would basically be moonshine. He was making moonshine, okay, out of his garage. And he would come over to our apartment and drink it with my roommate, the one whose mother is the landlord. And, pardon me, and they would just drink it and shoot the shit and hang out. But this man was, so creepy. He made me violently uncomfortable. And unfortunately for me, he loved my housemate. So he was over every day, every other day. That was a normal occurrence. And I was violently uncomfortable. So that was something that I discovered was something I was going to have to kind of get used to, was a creepy older neighbor who made moonshine out of his garage. So as usual, it's never exactly boring. As I said, I am helping out with the dogs. And as I mentioned before, one of the dogs has cancer. And he had a very strict medication schedule. And me being very obsessive with having things be a little bit in order, I ended up handwriting a schedule of the time, the day, and the medication that he took and when. And so the times were exactly written. You check it off. So everyone in the house knew when he got his medication. And it got to the point where basically I was the caregiver for this dog, and I would be giving him his medication. I would be feeding him and making sure that this dog stayed alive, because I took it as a personal mission to make sure that this baby beat cancer. Because if I could help, why not? Why not save a little fur baby? Even though he was, I think, like 13, 14. He was old, and it was a doodle mix. I don't know. I don't think it was a labradoodle. It could have been. They could have been labradoodles, but they were big. Like if they stood up, they would definitely be taller than me. These dogs were huge. So living until 13, 14, even with cancer, was huge for these dogs. But I made it a personal mission to extend that lifespan. And so it just became clear I was going to be quite involved with the personal affairs of my housemate and landlord and neighbors and all that such. So yeah, things get interesting in my new living situation. And as usual, it's never boring. But that was my first little stint, little preview of just how Aussie living really is in the Southport region. Let's put it that way. But on another note, adding frustration to everything else that's going on, my partner's visa is hitting some roadblocks, and I miss the crap out of him. Long distance sucks. I mean, we kind of did long distance for the majority of our relationship anyway, because I was in school and he was working, and even though it was only 3 hours away, it's still long distance. And then when I finally graduate and I come home and I get a job, and then I'm like, psych, I'm going to go overseas. At first, I was super hesitant. And let me tell y'all, this man threatened to break up with me if I didn't go. He's like, I've known you since freshman year, and you've always played football. It is your passion. It's what you're meant to do. It's what you love to do. If you don't go, I'll break up with you, so then you have no reason to stay anyway. So that's the kind of person that he is. And so we're doing our first real long distance. I mean, I think it was, like I said, like 14 to 16 hour time difference, and hella far away, complete opposite side of the world. So I'm missing my mans. It's been a minute. And his visa is hitting some roadblocks, so I'm getting a bit stressed. He's getting a bit stressed, and not the best time. But to brighten up the end of the month, to go on a bit of a happier note, my roommates and my coworker decided it would be a really good idea to teach me how to drive stick or manual. I don't know how you guys call it, but yeah, they figured, hey, you're living in Australia, you're probably eventually going to get a car. It's more likely that you're going to end up having to drive a manual car rather than automatic. So you got to learn. I was like, okay, let's give it a shot. How hard could it be? Now, let's remember, Australia drives on the other side of the road. So they're teaching me how to drive. I'm worrying about how to get out of first without stalling. I finally get the hang of it. I'm driving. I feel confident. I got my coworker taking videos of me. I'm shifting gears, all types of smooth. We listening to music, and I'm feeling myself. I'm like, your girl hitting second, she hitting third, we smooth. And my housemate, the one from Spain, is literally from the back seat reaching out in front of me, grabbing the steering wheel because I kept drifting over to the other side of the road because I'm used to driving on the right side, and now we're driving on the left side. And so he's trying to keep me on the left side of the road. And we get to a roundabout or a circle. Again, don't know however y'all call it. And me not being used to being on the other side of the road, I went around the roundabout the wrong way in a neighborhood, like a residential neighborhood. So let's just say we're lucky no one was driving because we would have gotten in a head-on-head collision, 100%. But we didn't. Everyone made it out alive. And I learned how to drive manual that day. And to this day, driving manual is my favorite. I absolutely prefer it over automatic. I think manual is so much more fun. It is, I don't know, just gives you something else to do. Driving becomes so mundane. And it also helps you focus, and I think it reduces texting driving a little bit more. I do have to say, once you get good at it, I have seen people still find ways to do other things while driving, even with manual, but it definitely does make it a bit harder. Let's put it that way. So yeah, I say everyone take the time to learn the skill of driving manual. One, it's just a good skill to learn, especially if you're going to be overseas, if you're going to be traveling. A lot of European countries have more likely manual cars than automatic. And it's also just good to know. It broadens your horizons. It opens up your options of cars that you can have, cars you can own. And as far as I'm aware, in my experience, manual cars seem to last a little bit longer than automatic cars, but that's just me. I could be wrong. I could be talking out of my behind. I know nothing about cars, so please do not take my word for that, but fairly certain that they are a bit more durable. So yeah, that was my end of the month experience for March. I learned how to drive manual at my birthday, moved into a new place, getting some vibes in with the team, really starting to put my name out there in the league a little bit more, getting a bit more noticed, even though the team's struggling a little bit, but we pick it up, y'all. We get it together because Logs don't quit. All right, we some tough women out there. But yeah, we will stop there for this file. Not a lot of football drama this time, but nevertheless, still drama because, like I said, it is never a boring moment with me for sure. But yeah, let's get into our interactive segments. Now it is time for I Wish I Knew That. So I wish I knew I could have just friend requested coaches on Facebook from other teams in the league when I was going through this with South. I wish I knew it was just as simple as looking up who they were, looking up the Facebook pages of the clubs and finding the coach and just sending a request and saying, hey, I'm here from America and I want to join your team. Can I have a tryout? Because apparently you can just do that because I got people hopping in my Facebook, friend requesting me, asking me, hey, do you want a trial? So it was a lot less formal than I made it out to be in my head. I think because I was imagining, okay, I'm going to play semi-pro and then I'm going to go to pro, that everything has to be done email, official, straight direct to managers and coaches. And these people's out here using Facebook Messenger. What? I could have been all up in people's inboxes, making it so much easier for myself. So yeah. Wish I knew that. That would have probably made things a little bit less stressful to not just be popping up on people's Facebook. But hindsight, right? And all right, trust me on this one. So trust me on this one. Really study your new surroundings thoroughly, guys. study the language, the slang, the seasons, the work, the cost of necessities. I really feel like I neglected to do enough research before I went. And I mean, it impacted me at work. So they have another word for lactose-free milk, and it's called Zimmel. I can't remember if it's Zimmel because that's the name of one of the brands of lactose-free milk. I believe that's what it is. And so I'm serving all these people that are like, yeah, can I get a hot long black with a side of cold Zimmel milk? And I was like, yeah, all right, sure. And I'm serving these people Zimmel milk. I don't even know what Zimmel milk is. It's lactose-free milk. That's all it was. But I had no idea. So, I mean, you can't really look up online per se, like, what are the classic slang of whatever country you're going to. I mean, probably now in 2023, you definitely could, but it's more of a learning experience while you get there. But in terms of the language, you know, going to places like Germany or Switzerland or Israel or Spain, Italy, anywhere you're going, learn the language, learn what the important phrases are, learn how to be able to conduct yourself in public spaces, especially if you're traveling solo, especially if you're traveling solo as a woman. So learn those things, get yourself a little bit more prepared. When I mean learn about like the work and the seasons, so for me, I wish I knew that I had a really hard time with work in winter in Australia. So trust me when I say look into the work seasons. If you're going to be in a certain type of work field, I'm working in the food industry. I'm working in a cafe that's right next to a beach. So yes, wintertime is going to slow down business. It's going to make my hours a bit more on the low side. So have a backup job that you can go into to make sure you're making up for the hours that you're losing. You know what I mean? So I mean, I didn't prepare to get a serving job. That wasn't something that I thought that I was going to be doing because, as I said, I didn't lie, but I embellished the fact that I worked in public service before like that. I never served before. So I didn't realize how slow the winter season would be for a cafe on the beach, which now looking back on it, duh, of course it would be. But in that moment, I definitely regretted not having a little bit of a side hustle to my side hustle, because losing those hours at work and that extra bit of money was a little bit painful and scary in that moment. So trust me, be prepared, look into all the aspects of what it takes to live where you're going to be living. It all matters. Nothing is stupid. Nothing is a small detail. All of it will help you succeed. It will help you survive. It will help you stay safe and prepared. So trust me, do your research on all of it. It is inherently important. So we'll continue from last week with listeners' questions. So as I said, my girl Michelle, she had a couple questions for me. And her second question that she had pertained to the race issues that I continuously face. And she didn't really ask about a particular place in general. She asked, did I face, like, what was the most like racist place that I had been to? And I told her, I mean, to be honest, so far it's Australia. I think just for like the direct racism to my face, Australia was a very racist experience, especially working in the cafe that I worked in. I served, like I said, mainly older people, older white people. I served very rich people. I served some higher class people, you can say. And the older white folks were really just unafraid to say what came in their head. And one experience that comes to mind very, very quickly was this one woman. She called me Topsy. I learned that Topsy was a black little girl in a book, I believe, and I think she had like twists in her hair or something. And so she called me Topsy. She knew my name. My name is Natalia, but she called me Topsy. And when I told my bosses, they were like, "No, that's insanely racist. That is from a book that that we had as kids in Australia, and I'm pretty sure they even used the hard R word describing this young black woman in the book. And so my boss was like, you're not serving her anymore. Stay away from that table. That's not somebody you need to associate with. So that experience comes to mind when I think of the racism that I dealt with that was very directly in my face. But almost everywhere, honestly, I've had racism. It's unfortunately pretty expected. Israel, the least. I think Israel, I felt like praised being a black woman. They love their black women and they love their Brazilians, okay? Israel, they love their dark skin. All right, no one ever made me feel like other than or less wanted or less cared about because I was black. That was never really a big issue for me there. Like I said, I felt very accepted and sometimes like overly loved for being black. I mean, you're neighbors to Africa, so I mean, it'd be kind of ridiculous to be insanely racist, but it doesn't stop people. So yeah, hope that answers your question, Michelle. Everywhere I have experienced racism, but yeah, I think Australia was probably the most abundantly in my face racist that I've ever experienced. To this day, I've had more encounters. They will come up in other episodes, I'm sure, as I go through my timelines and experiences. But yeah, that's unfortunately Australia be keeping it real with their racism out there. They're basically America 2.0. They really want to be like America, and I don't get why. But the racism part, they're really good at giving us a run for our money. So yeah, that's some information for you guys. So thank you again for joining me. You know what to do. Like, rate, comment, review, give me that 5 stars. Hit me up in my inbox if you have any questions, you just want to say hi. You can follow me on the Insta for the official 440 Files Instagram page. The link for the website to listen to any of the episodes is in the information for my bio for the 440 Files Instagram page. So if you don't have Spotify or Apple or any of those other streaming sites, you can go straight to the website for the podcast and listen to the episodes there. So want to give that information as well, and neglected to share that in the past. As usual, you can try and follow me on my personal page and Pinky. No promises I will accept. And yes, the email for the podcast, 440files@gmail.com. Hit me up in there for any questions or comments, or you want to know anything else that's happened to me in my travels. Of course, the YouTube channel for the page, head on over to there. I am slowly adding to the closed captions for the videos. So for all my listeners in other countries who listen but aren't quite keeping up with the English, I know I speak fast sometimes, I will get the closed captions so you can translate to your language and more of my friends and loved ones overseas can keep up with the language barriers. So that's it for this episode of 440 Files. Thank you again for listening. Tune in 2 weeks and let's kick it together. Bye, y'all.